Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, Attention and ADHD coach Jeff Copper. And here I am today to talk to you about something that I find fascinating. It's what I call the basic level of truth. And what I mean by this is often our automatic brain is telling us a story. It's kind of automated. And the evidence around us really is contradictory to what we're saying. And because we say it, we actually believe it. And I think it really sends our attention off in a different direction. So let me give you an example. In a prior video, I had talked about what's hard. It's a question to ask when you're procrastinating, like what here is hard. I was coaching an individual one time with regard to a task that he had to do that he was procrastinating on, and it was to call some relatives before his daughter's dance or piano recital or something. I don't really remember the details. And I asked him, I said, what's hard about making the call? And he said, nothing, it's easy. And I said, well, it's pretty self-evident that if you've been procrastinating on it for 2 or 3 weeks, there's something hard. So let's talk about what's really hard. And as we began to unfold this a little bit, we began to realize is that typically what he does is he calls up his relatives and says the dance recital is like Thursday at 2 o'clock or whatever it is. And they say, well, what do we wear? Where do we park? And what do we bring? All those are questions that he doesn't have an answer to. So then he's got to go find out those answers and call everybody back. And what was just one phone call ends up being dozens of phone calls, and that's pretty hard. A lot of friction, a lot of things that he has to do. And as a result, he doesn't do it. In excavating, if you will, what was hard, and that was not knowing all the information, he was able to go get the information that he would expect that they would ask through brainstorming with some other people, and then he was able to call. Now this is an example of a basic truth, is that he was telling himself it was easy, but at the end of the day, he wasn't doing it because there was something hard. Other basic truths I find with those with ADHD is they have a hard time, they're just bored. And boredom, I've done some other videos on boredom. Boredom's fascinating to me. When you're bored, it actually decreases your arousal. And this is fascinating because if you're not aroused, then you can't do what you're normally motivated to do. There's a great definition of what's called agitated boredom. It's these physical discomfort where you're motivated to escape the plight. So in other words, you're physically uncomfortable and you're going to do anything to get comfortable. And as a result of that, you have a tendency to do things that you really kind of shouldn't be doing. And the thing about boredom is often those with boredom, they don't really even know what they want to do because they're not really aroused enough to do it. And to admit that I'm actually bored at my job or at this task or whatever, it's a basic truth and you can move past it. So I'm not cleaning my office because it's boring. I'm not cleaning the garage because it's boring. I'm not cleaning the car because it's boring. Now that we got that basic level of truth, we can say, how do we get past that? How do I make it not boring or how to make it exciting? We can then move forward. But just beating yourself up because you're procrastinating really doesn't resolve that problem because the underlying issue really is it's bored. Motivation is another thing that's fascinating to me. Often people will say, well, that person's not motivated. Well, from my perspective, you've never done anything that you weren't motivated to do. Matter of fact, you'd be dead if you weren't motivated. Just because you're not doing what somebody else wants you to do doesn't mean that you're not motivated. It just means that you don't want to do that right now. And so the idea is really to get to the truth of what's got going on and break it down and figure out what's going on. And the prior examples is if you are not aroused, and you're bored, you're not motivated to go do something that's really effortful. If something's hard, you're not motivated to go do it because it's got this invisible thing. You got to unveil that what's really hard for you to get around it. Another area that's fascinating, I've actually coached a couple people that had addiction problems. And they would say, like, smoking marijuana, I don't want to do it. I don't like to do it. And I'm like, well, wait a second. What do you mean you don't like to do it? Well, I don't like to do it. Then why are you doing it? And it's funny because they're addicted to it. They know that they shouldn't do it. They tell themselves that they don't want to do it, but the proof is they're doing it. They like doing it. If they didn't like doing it, they wouldn't be doing it. Now, granted, there might be an addiction here that's got them chemically bond to it, but the issue really is they're going that direction because they like it. I'm oversimplifying this, of course, and I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just a coach. But fundamentally, I find, is if you don't address these fundamental basic truths, you have a hard time moving forward. For parents and spouses out there, another area is when people come to coaching, fundamentally is do they really want coaching? Often, if a spouse brings another spouse in, or a parent brings their college student in, that individual will say, yes, they want coaching. Often, though, the fact of the matter is they don't really want to engage in the process. They really want somebody to get off their back and reduce the pressure. And the basic truth is they're not ready for coaching. They don't want coaching. And I can't coach anybody who doesn't want coaching. The point of this video is sometimes you have to look past those automatic things that you say and say, what's the basic truth here? And to me, the litmus test is just an experience, and that is, for example, if you're procrastinating on something and you're calling it easy, there's something that's not easy, because if not, you would be procrastinating about it. If you're not doing something, it's not necessarily because you're not motivated, you're just motivated to do other things. If you have a compulsive behavior, you're doing it because you're drawn to it. That pause and acknowledgement opens up a whole new world, because now you can actually say, hey, how do I make this exciting and not boring? What's actually hard? How can I make this easy? It opens a whole new path. I hope this tip has helped you. Hope you found it insightful. To get more great tips from Attention Talk Video, subscribe to our channel below at Attention Talk Video. We hope you enjoyed this episode.